What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So something I have been thinking about recently, and with today being a full month since the Gold Edition release of Test Drive, I am, well, probably asking questions everybody else is. But here's the biggest thing I'm asking myself in the recent days, though. Can Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown make a comeback and actually be a great game in the future, especially after the initial launch of it with the Gold Edition and also the actual launch day, and on top of that, the recent Season 1 launch? Now, I'm going to guess right now and say at this point that, well, everybody is probably looking at different things like Discord, YouTube, X, and even Instagram and stuff like that, and they're probably like, well, I guess I'm not going to be getting Test Drive right now, or why did I even buy this game? Should I refund it? Should everybody just have it refunded? Should the game go back into the oven for another 5 months? And you know what? I hate to say it, those are all very valid questions. I actually really do think, guys, this game probably needed at least another 6 months before it did end up releasing. We can all definitely tell that that launch was going to be incredibly botched up after the actual betas we did end up having. And what's insane about that is I did actually make a video back then saying how I was concerned for the servers and the launch of Test Drive, but I was like, maybe that's not going to happen, like trying to be optimistic for it. But no, man, the servers were incredibly destroyed when the game did end up releasing. For me, I would say one of the biggest and the scariest parts about it is probably due to the fact that there wasn't a ton of players actually getting onto it and playing the game when that did end up happening. What I mean by that is we had a few thousand players on the PC version of it, which I'm going to say right now, that is probably not going to be a good look having the servers crash all the time when you have 2,500 people on the game. Like, that isn't good. Imagine for a split second if the game actually had 50,000 people on PC. We had 200,000 on PS5, 200,000 on Xbox. I'm going to say right now, man, I bet you the entire multiplayer would still not be playable legitimately right now. And most likely around 80% of those people that did end up getting on the game, around, like, let's say the 500 plus thousand on every platform, I bet you most of those people probably would have refunded the game, and then now it would actually end up working just slightly with a lot less people in the lobbies. And one of the insane things about that is we can all agree right now one of the biggest issues with Test Drive is, well, that is going to be the entire online social aspect to it. On top of that, it's also going to be the matchmaking issue and the servers. We all do know right now, guys, the way the matchmaking is designed is just not going to work. I actually made a video about this a few days ago, which I will leave a tag on the screen for it. But here's something I do want to mention, though. I am going to break this down here quick because, my goodness, it bothers me legitimately so much. So here's the thing, this game is going to be completely focused on a big MMO racer, am I right? Supposed to be a huge type of online game. You interact with players, you actually drive around with them, you do instant challenges, you do PvP, and, well, you try to become the Solar Crown or something like that, or like the Solar King, am I right? Here's the issue with that, though, man. You make an entire MMO game designed around being on multiplayer with a lot of people basically everywhere, but now the game's actually going to be region locked, and it is also not going to be cross-platform. So how does that actually make any sense? Like, how are you actually going to play with people? Not everybody is going to be in an area to where maybe they're actually going to have a ton of players in that said region where they live, then they can actually do rank. But what if they don't? What if you're actually going to be on the PC side of it to where sometimes it drops to 300 people on the game? How are you actually going to find people to do ranked with? I would say it's probably going to be a pretty big challenge. Thinking about that, 300 people on PC playing the game around the entire world is, well, that is not that much. There's probably going to be a lot of countries out there to where they don't have anybody in their regions they can play with, and guess what? It is also not going to be cross-platform, so how does that entire multiplayer thing make any sense? This is also why I really do think designing it in that way is probably going to be very bad for its future. Yeah, they could probably add this into the game, man, but let's be real. That is probably going to be a very long way away from right now, like maybe 5 or 6 months. And by then, I really do think most players are probably going to be giving up on this, or they're probably going to be moving on to something else. I really do think having like an actual hub in the game to where you can join PvP would make so much more sense. And also, why is that not in there, bruh? Legitimately is so confusing. Now, there's also going to be a few other things I do have to say about this. We all do want the game to make a comeback, right? Here's the issue, though, with the way the patches have been going right now, with the way the communication stuff is. I also feel like in a way a lot of players might not be able to truly believe what's going on with the game. For example, maybe they're like, okay, so what's the communication on this or what's happening with this? And then it's going to be radio silence for weeks or we don't hear anything. I do understand they are going to be busy. They can't have everybody actually talking and stuff like that on Twitter. But here's the thing though, on Need for Speed, they are incredibly active on that. They are normally talking about what's going on. They ask people what they think about the update. And keep in mind on Need for Speed Unbound, there's around 30 people working on that game at the moment. So I would say that's pretty dang impressive for what they actually get out update-wise. And then of course on top of that, they are still communicating with the fan base, seeing what people like, what they don't like, what they can change about this, and really wanting everybody's feedback. That is so dang important, man. I've actually talked about this with this game. I've talked about it with Motorfest. They really do need more communication for the game to actually succeed. I'm not talking about showing photos or like weird photo ops of the game and stuff like that. Going, oh, look at this beautiful sunrise. Where are you guys driving to? No, 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 no. We legitimately need to go, what's going on? What's actually happening in the game? Let us really know what you guys are working on. It could be a monthly thing like, yo, we know this isn't working. We know you guys are having issues on this side of the servers. We are looking into it. That would be so amazing just having something like that happen. And I feel like players might actually look at something like that differently. But at the moment, though, when we actually get patches in the game, players are like, yo, if we're around a month in right now and we still can't actually get patches out right, the game's still having issues, that means it's probably going to be months and months down the road of multiple patches coming out. And who knows, maybe some of those other patches are going to break other stuff in the game. And for example, on that matter, though, I have been noticing recently, which I've never had an issue with this before, like, yeah, I'm still crashing on PS5, yeah, I'm getting lobby errors and stuff, but one thing I've been noticing, though, is the races are not resetting after 24 hours now. I've actually went to a few races that I did do around 4 days ago, and they are still giving me like $5,000 to $8,000 in them. That is definitely going to be a problem if that's still going to be an issue a month from now, because here's the thing, how do you actually grind the races out if they don't actually reset, man? So what does that mean though? Like, I really enjoy doing the races, so what do I have to do now? I have to log on and just frim every single day? Like, that isn't going to be that fun. And that is also why I feel like all of these issues going on is going to have another problem add on to it. That is going to be the trust of the entire fan base to the actual developers and what they can do with this game. That is going to be a huge problem, man, seriously. A lot of players are probably going to have a long time before they can trust what's actually happening in it, whether it's going to be updates, finally fixing server issues, or fixing certain things that have still been issues since the game has come out. Players are actually going to be looking around and seeing all four reviews everywhere for this game. For example, I do know on the PC, I think it's a 38%, so it's mostly negative. I actually saw on the PS5, I think it's a 2.09 or something, bro. I have never seen a game review that low at anything. We actually have something like Need for Speed Heat with more players on it on PC. Like, there is definitely going to be an issue here for this game's future. And I do feel like for them to actually get this game on track is, well, that is most likely going to take months and months and months, as I mentioned. I would actually predict right now this game could be incredibly good 6 months from now, or even 8 months from now, but here's the issue. Once this game is finally good, what comes out next year, bro? What comes out next year? Literally one of the biggest game releases in history, Grand Theft Auto 6. Everybody right now, I guarantee, is going to be playing Grand Theft Auto 6. And mind you, that is just going to be the single player coming out. Multiplayer is sometime in 2026, which I can't blame them. Imagine trying to get a server set up for 50 million people to play it. That sounds like a nightmare. Now, I also understand that yes, it is going to be a big AAA studio compared to a smaller AA studio, so we all do know that yes, Rockstar Games is going to have a lot more resources, way more developers and stuff like that to work on it, so I do understand that to an aspect, but I would also say having a game that's struggling with probably less than 50,000 people on it is going to be insanely scary for the future of the game. Now, I do know they could probably update it and get this game on track, but again, we're probably not going to be seeing anything with crossplay or cross-region for a very long time. So that's going to raise questions like, how are we going to do ranked? How are players going to get these cars? Do we actually have to go into legit like multiplayer and drive around, invite people, and then basically boost up the solar court? Like, is that going to be fun, bro? We all do know most of the time when you actually see people in the ranked lobbies, I did actually get into a few of them. I got one person, a few of them, then I actually had four, and I was very shocked. Funny thing is, I went back and tried to do another ranked lobby, hoping everybody I just raced with would actually join again and do it, but no. I actually sat there for about 5 minutes and not a single person joined the event. I was like, well, that was kind of fun while it lasted. I got to do one event with around 4 or 5 people, and it was actually kind of dope. That's what really does frustrate me though, because this game, if it actually worked, would be so dang good, man. Like, legitimately. I feel like having the rank lobbies and the servers being a lot better, the overall matchmaking servers and stuff like that being better on top of it, I feel like this game would be so dang good in that aspect, like it really would be. Rank lobbies would be insanely fun, actually having a full 8 players in there. It would probably be really intense, and I actually feel like players would love it. But as of right now, being able to hopefully find one other person in a rank lobby is not going to be that much fun, especially if you actually join that said lobby with one other person and then boom, something happens, they crash, they end up leaving, and then boom, you actually win it, and that's it. You go join it again, the same thing happens, and well, you're probably going to see where this is actually going. You know, I guess an easier way to say that is probably just to basically say, well, the entire matchmaking system needs an entire overhaul to it. Is that going to happen? Well, to be honest, guys, I really don't know. That is a big question I feel like everybody is asking, and I feel like it's insanely up in the air right now with pretty much everyone. On top of that, I do also agree that most of the stuff in this game does obviously need some tweaking in it, and I really do think it's going to take a ton of time and money on it. The thing is, though, when they finally get things on track, if that does end up happening, is there still going to be a player base that's actually on this game by that entire time, around 6 to 8 months down the road, when this game is going to be truly what it actually can be? That is something I really do think about. Now, the other thing I did want to talk about in this video is, well, that's going to be the Solar Pass here. I do know a lot of players talked about this, but the reason why I do want to talk about it is going to come down to one thing. This overall Solar Pass, guys, I have to admit it, it is pretty terrible. Like, I had to say it. Look, a lot of people talked about this. Kingdom 12 talked about it in his video. $50,000 is just ridiculous. Like, who actually wants to have, like, I guess the emotes are kind of cool, but having a sticker, seriously, bruh? A sticker? If I wanted a sticker, I would get a Happy Meal from McDonald's. I don't need a sticker. What am I supposed to do with that? We also had recolored stuff like the sunglasses and stuff like that. But again, $50,000, that should be at least 250 or 300 grand, bro. That way players actually want to jump on and go, okay, let me go level this pass up. I can actually make over $1 million if I do the pass, but no. Instead, you're actually going to make 250 grand or so. And what's insane about that, though, is I'm basically playing a few hours each day just doing random events, and I'm already almost max leveled in the entire pass, man. So you're telling me a 25 level pass is going to last us an entire 2.5 months? I honestly just don't see it. And I also have to mention this though, and I do know Kingdom 12 talked about this a bit. We all do know the rewards and stuff like that in this game are probably going to be rehashed or, possibly reused and recolored and all that. But let's be real, guys, even to this day in Motorfest, we're still getting cars from the Crew 2, even if you already have them. So that entire unlock tree in the main stage itself is probably going to be useless to most of the players that already have it. So it's probably going to be a similar aspect there with the rewards, I guess. But again, I feel like if you're actually going to have a pass in the game, make it a bit worthwhile. I have to admit, though, I am just not a big fan of battle passes. In fact, I might actually make a video about that in the near future because, my goodness, the entire battle pass thing makes me a tad frustrated. Guess what I would rather have? Actual DLC content like back in the day, but again, that's going to be for an entirely different topic. But I would actually say right now the biggest thing they're going to have to do is get the trust back of the actual fan base to really get this game on the track it truly does need to be on. As of right now, guys, I hate to say this, but this game is definitely months away from being everything most people are looking for. And the biggest question players are having, though, is will this game ever be a test drive game, and can it truly live up to what the older games actually were? Probably a pretty valid question. I would like to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Do you guys actually believe Test Drive can make a comeback? And what do you think the biggest thing this game actually needs for it to really come back and be what everybody does want?